Welcome to Every Mom is an Athlete, the podcast where we believe motherhood is inherently athletic. From lifting car seats to chasing toddlers, your daily life is a workout. I'm Dr. Karlie, pregnancy and postpartum expert, sports chiropractor, strength coach, and mom of three. This is your space for strength, recovery, and real talk in pregnancy, postpartum, and motherhood. Welcome, Strong Moms. You're in the right place. Welcome back, Strong Moms. Today, we are going to talk all about peptides, what they are, how they work, and whether they're worth it. You have probably seen peptides everywhere. They're all over in the health world right now. Some people are calling them the future of medicine. Others say they're just expensive hype. But if you are a mom trying to recover postpartum, improve your body composition, feel like yourself again, here is the real question. What are peptides and do they actually work? So before we get started, I want to make sure you know this is not a commercial, okay? I do take a certain brand of peptides, but I have tried other ones. I'm going to just give you the actual facts about what they are, why they're getting so popular. And then I will tell you about the ones I take, of course, but I just want to make sure you know this is not medical advice. This is just information. And I am going to try to give you a well-rounded synopsis and make this really simple for you to understand. Okay, so let's start off. What are peptides? So peptides are short chains of amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. So amino acids are responsible for helping rebuild our tissues, build muscle, and they just support our overall body function. So there's 20 of them, and they combine in different ways to create all these different proteins. So when you get these peptides, what that is it's these short chains of amino acids that are connected together, and they act like signalers to the body. So I've heard it described like you think of peptides like little text messages your body sends to itself. So it tells different areas of the body, different ways to recover and basically fix itself. So that can be tissue repair, fat metabolism, growing bigger muscles, collagen productions, dealing with hormones, all these kind of things. So they're sending out these little messages, and then that's how the body begins repairing itself. And I think a lot of women think that this peptide craze is new. And yes, to some degree, it is new that we're all obsessed and learning about it, but they've actually been around for a really long time. But mostly traditional peptides were injectable only, prescription only, and they were just inaccessible to most people. Now companies are creating oral, naturally derived peptides. You don't have to inject them into yourself, which is a barrier to entry in and of itself, but also it brought the price down, and they're also naturally derived. So that means they're coming from food. So they're exogenous, meaning from outside of our body, as opposed to endogenous, which means they're already created inside of our body. And I'll go into that a little bit later. I'm not trying to get too in the weeds here for you, but there is some importance to that. So I'll touch back on that in a few minutes. One of the main reasons that we're seeing this trend now is because there's a lot of longevity research. People are doing more research into hormone optimization and body composition. A lot of people obviously have heard about peptides, the GLP-1s, all that sort of thing to help lose weight, to decrease your appetite, and also for recovery and performance. So actually trying to help heal the body from injuries. So there's quite a few questions I get about peptides because, again, I take them, I talk about them, I am a big proponent of them. I actually do think that they are sort of the future of medicine and the way that healthcare is going to go. I hope so anyways. I hope that they become more affordable and that they help more and more people. A few questions. So the first one is, do oral peptides actually work? Because historically, many peptides are broken down in digestion. So that's what a lot of people's sort of complaint is about these new oral ones. They don't work. Your gut just breaks them down before they can get to the target tissues. But some peptides are actually naturally absorbed. So think about peptides like collagen or casein. These are things that, I put collagen in my coffee every morning, right? And it's a good source of protein. Do I know if it's helping my skin and hair? I don't really know, but that's not why I take it. I take it for protein. Anyways, I digress. But there are some that are able to be absorbed orally. And so this research is still evolving, but some oral peptides are showing promise. I have had great experiences with the ones that I take personally. I think the biggest thing is that these ones that are naturally derived as opposed to the ones that you're injecting into yourself, they're not as strong. So they work, but it's more of a natural, gentle feeling. That's what I've experienced having tried multiple ones. And so that's sort of my take on it. But it is still evolving. We're learning more and more, but there is some good evidence that they do work orally. You don't necessarily just have to inject them. The next question I get from moms the most every time I post about this is about breastfeeding and about pregnancy. So usually it's breastfeeding because that's a time, right, when we're like, okay, like the baby's out. I'm working hard to get my body back to where I want it to be. And for a lot of moms, I talk about this too, but it's normal to hold on to weight while you're breastfeeding, right? But I found for myself in my third time postpartum, I was just so much farther behind where I'd been in the first two pregnancies. And yes, I was younger. I didn't already have two kids. And I try to tell women, not to compare yourself to anyone else, but even to yourself in past pregnancies. But I was like, something is not working right. Like I'm doing all the same things. I'm eating the same way. I'm getting rest. I'm doing all the healthy things that I advise patients to do first before jumping right into peptide usage. And it wasn't working. So that's what initially got me to try the peptides. That being said, the ones that I use, I wish I would have found during pregnancy because one of them, it's called Fit, helps build lean muscle mass and then keep it on. And that is, if you've ever been pregnant, you know how hard it is to like keep your glutes, to not get that mom butt. And so I actually would have taken that one again because it's naturally derived from food. I would have taken that one during pregnancy. I didn't, but I did start taking it during breastfeeding. And then the other ones I did actually start taking during breastfeeding. The one that I take lean, it helps with appetite suppression and food noise. And I always just warn moms about that because if you are eating less, right, that can affect your milk supply. That being said, my cousin started taking them also when she was breastfeeding. And I think she's still breastfeeding actually. At the time of this, it's like her son is like maybe 15 months old. And she's still taking the peptides, and she said that her milk supply improved. Now, I think that's probably because it helped regulate her cortisol levels. She was giving herself better nutrients and like just making better food choices. So, but I always just warn moms about that because that is something I don't ever want to mess with people's milk supply, obviously. And of course, all of these, right? You have to do your own research. You have to talk to your doctor because they can't, of course, test this on pregnant women. We can't test anything on pregnant women, right? So it's just like when I talk about electrolytes and people are like, can you take them during pregnancy? It says on the box to talk to your doctor that they're not advised during pregnancy. Well, yeah, because they're trying to CYA, if you know what I mean. They don't want to get in trouble for something happening, but they haven't tested anything. So it really sucks, but we have to do our own research and we have to be our own test subjects sometimes with things that are obviously like safe. Okay, so why does this matter for moms? Why could this be so important to you? So what are common postpartum issues? Well, we're talking about fatigue, poor sleep, muscle loss, body composition changes, inflammation. All of these are things that could be supported by peptides. But again, these are support tools, right? These are not magic fixes. I always talk to my patients when I'm telling them or people ask me about peptides, I'm like, yeah, you got to make sure that you're getting some sleep. You got to make sure that you are regulating your nervous system so that you're not just constantly in fight or flight because then your cortisol levels are going to be all out of whack. And of course, you're going to hold on to weight. You're not going to feel well. Your workouts aren't going to feel good. So you've got to get that in place first. And what I kind of felt for myself is I was like, you know what? I am 85% there. Like, no, of course I'm not perfect. No one is. But I was like, I know I'm eating well. I know I'm hydrated. That's another thing. You have to be hydrated. I know I'm getting enough sleep-ish, right? That was probably part of the 15% I was missing. I feel like I'm doing a really good job of regulating my nervous system with prayer, with meditation, with deep breathing exercises, with all this stuff. And that's when I decided to add in peptides because that's when I was like, everything I'm doing that I've done my whole life that I know works is not working. So now I need some help. So again, the ones that I use are by Make Wellness. I'll put the link below. I have a $10 off coupon if you're interested in trying those at all. I take the Breakthrough Bundle. And let me just give you a few tips on that, okay? So the Breakthrough Bundle, if you wanted to try it, is Fit and Lean, as I mentioned before. Also Restored. So it's 3 different peptides. The Restored is one you take at night. I truly did not think I needed that one because I sleep pretty good. But then I heard people talking about it that were the beta testers. And they were like, I am waking up so refreshed. They felt like so much more energetic in the mornings. And then a few of them were like, I've even lost 5 pounds without doing anything else. And I think that's got to be attributed to cortisol regulating. So I was like, okay, let me try it. And I swear to you, that first night that I woke up or that first next morning, I was like, I was wide awake. I woke up at 5 a.m. like ding, ready to go. So I have continued taking that one. All of these I tried taking on sort of a whim from a girlfriend of mine who was taking them. And she and her husband were both just raving about them, how much better they felt. And I was like, you know what? I don't know about this. I am sort of a skeptic about all these things. I do take a lot of vitamins and supplements. I love it, but I do so much research on them before jumping in. And this one, I sort of just jumped in and was like, I'm going to do the research later if I figure out if they work, because I really thought they weren't going to work. And then I started feeling really good. And I actually didn't realize that food noise, which not everyone has food noise, by the way, but food noise is where you're like kind of constantly just like thinking about like, oh, have this snack. Da, 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 da. You know, it's just like this background noise in your head. I've always had that. And I didn't realize that that was one of the side effects, was that food noise decreased taking the lean. And I had noticed that within the first couple weeks. And then that's when I was like, okay, let me start doing a lot more research. And then I saw that that was one of the side effects. And I was like, oh my gosh, it is actually working. And that, to me, that was dramatic because it was something that I did not know. I was not, like, my mind wasn't prepped to think that that was going to happen. And then I noticed it. And then I realized, right? So anyways, I thought that was pretty cool. The other few things I'll tell you just real quick in case you do try this bundle is the lean. I always recommend people split it up, take one in the morning and one at night, because what happens is it does decrease your appetite, but it wears off. So if you're taking 2 a day, but you take them in the morning, then lots of people end up snacking again at night and they're like, oh, this doesn't work. What happens is you're changing the intake of food that your body has. And so if you eat less, but you don't eat enough, then you're at night, your body's going to say, hey, we need more food. We're starving. And that's when you're going to have a really hard time regulating that. And you're going to try to make up for the day's lost calories that evening. So what I do is I take one in the morning, I take one in the afternoon around 2-ish, 2 or 3. And then that helps me stave off the snacking at night. And it also helps me make sure that I'm eating enough through the day. Okay, also, I should mention, totally forgot to mention this. I have also tried injectable peptides. So I've tried them for an injury where you basically I've tried BPC 157. These injections are subcutaneous. So you just put them in like right under the skin. I don't really think it's a big deal, but I'm not afraid of needles and I'm in the medical world. And I did really find that it helped, honestly. It was with a shoulder injury. I did a few rounds of that. And I'm happy to talk about that another time. I have not done any of the GLP-1s. My mom was on them for quite a while, and I really got a bad taste in my mouth because she was a person who should not necessarily be on such an intense drug. It made her feel awful. She wasn't eating enough. I think she had a hard time understanding that she still had to eat even though she didn't feel hunger. And so then she would feel really weak. She couldn't work out. And the other thing about those peptides that you're injecting is you have to cycle off of them. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that if you just stay on these forever, because they're peptides that your body makes, you're going to start affecting what your body is naturally producing. Where these oral ones that you take, because they're from food, they're not what your body makes, you don't have to cycle off of them. So that's what I was referring to earlier about wanting to talk about that a little bit more, because I see people using these GLP-1s so improperly. And no shade to the GLP-1s, honestly, because I think they are helping a lot of people with weight loss and to get healthy and fit. But I want to see them used properly by people who truly need them, not people who are trying to lose 5 or 10 pounds like me. And then they're using this kind of extreme weight loss drug, basically. So anyways, I digress. I think they are great for those that need them, and I'm grateful for them. They're not something that I have personally done, but I've seen enough patients, enough friends use them that I know they're not for me. But like I said, I'm glad they're out there. Okay, I think that's it. As my closing message about peptides, I want to just reiterate, while they're super exciting and there's so much promise in the areas of health and recovery, they're not a magic pill. The real foundation is strength, movement, nutrition, sleep, all those things that we talk about. Those things are not sexy, but you have to have those in place first. And then if you're doing those, the peptides might be a really great tool that can help support your body in what you're already doing. I hope this episode was helpful. I know that there's just so much noise out there right now. So hopefully this gives you a little bit more clarity about what peptides are, how they might be helpful for you. Again, I'll put my link below. No pressure at all, but I do love helping women with this. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I am arguably too accessible on Instagram at Dr. Karlie. I'm always happy to walk you through what peptides might be good options for you and talk through your goals with you and how I can support you. All right, strong moms, until next time, have a great week. Thanks for listening. Every Mom is an Athlete isn't just a podcast. It's a reminder that you're still the athlete you've always been. If this episode resonated with you, I'd so appreciate it if you'd share with a friend or leave a quick review. It helps more moms find the support and information they need. See you next time.